One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelts. Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live, starts now on AM 970, The Answer.
What's that called, Alex?
Good evening. This is Killer by Melody Eris Griffiths. Are you getting in the mood for Halloween here, Lucas, or what?
No, unfortunately, we're going to be talking about a very, very tragic story. And I think we should talk about it. I waited a few weeks because I wanted things to sort of settle down. But as you all know by now, Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA and a prominent conservative activist, was assassinated on September 10th. He was fatally shot during a live event at Utah Valley University. His death was captured on live stream and cell phone footage, sent shockwaves throughout the nation, in fact, around the world, I might add. But instead of coming together as a country to grieve Mert, people reacted in ways that show how divided we Americans really are. I wanted to spend this first segment to talk about Kirk's rise, his death, and the divisive aftermath that has gripped our country. But before we do, we first want to express our condolences to the Kirk's family and friends. This was an unspeakable tragedy, and we don't wish to make light of it at all. Charlie was just 30 years old when he was shot. He was a husband and a father, and a role he cherished deeply. His wife, Erica, a media personality, often appeared alongside Charlie at events. The couple had 2 children, ages 3 and 1, and Kirk frequently spoke about fatherhood on his podcast, describing it as, I quote, the most important job I'll ever have. His wife, Erica, at the nationally televised memorial service at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, said Charlie was the ideal husband and the perfect father. She said, Mert, Charlie never missed bedtime prayers. No matter how many flights he took or speeches he gave, he always came home to us. The image of Kirk as a father, reading bedtime stories, praying with his children, and shielding them from the chaos of political life stood in stark contrast to the divisive figure many saw on stage. His death has left a void, not only in the conservative movement, but in a young family now grieving in the public eye. We mourn for them. We share their sorrow. No one should die for expressing their political viewpoints. No one. Thoughts, Mert?
Well, the one thing that I realized is, because I'm someone who, I don't hold people's beliefs unless they're evil or whatever. I don't hold one's beliefs against them. I work at a conservative station, and I'm not conservative because of that ability where I can look at people and say, you know what, we disagree, but that doesn't make you a bad person. So when I hear about this situation and I see it take place and I see how many people were affected by it, part of me is like, a lot of people really love this guy because I didn't know too much about him. Even though he's on our station, I didn't know too much about him. But a lot of people really, his message resonates with a lot of conservatives.
Yep.
And then what I started to notice is a lot of progressives or liberals, if you say, started to look into him, and they started to say, hey, maybe this guy wasn't so bad. We didn't agree with him, but he preached some stuff, and maybe his messaging was a little bit misconstrued because people were putting it out a certain way and it wasn't meant to be that way. And once they actually listened to what he was saying, they didn't have too much of a problem with it. But when he was assassinated, it made me realize that despite how Mert feels, and I'm sure you feel the same way about, nobody should ever lose their life. Despite how we feel, there are people out there, this isn't us, but I'm talking about people out there, who celebrated, I don't believe the man getting killed, but they believed his messaging would die when he was killed. And that's not how things go. That's why violence isn't a good solution, because you want an individual to have to defend what they think about and what they feel and their beliefs. But when you assassinate someone, that just strengthens the supporters and everyone around that individual who loved and cared for him. So anytime someone is assassinated, you see it with MLK and JFK and all the famous people in history who were assassinated. John Lennon, his music became more popular. MLK, his message became more popular. JFK, his legacy grew even more. He became a mythical figure. You don't assassinate individuals and stop their movements. You have to do it intelligently through discourse, conversation, writing, etc. So, to the man who assassinated Charlie Kirk, who thought he was doing
there was no man.
Progressive.
He was an animal.
Yeah.
There was no man. He was an animal.
Well, you said it. I like how you said it. I like how you put that. That's a great way to put it.
I'm not going to name him because scum doesn't deserve to be named. But the guy was 22 years of age, and he was arrested 2 days after the killing. His parents supposedly convinced him to,
But before you go into that, I just wanted to finish off by saying.
No, but I'm saying he was 22, Bert. I'm just emphasizing this.
But that's getting away from my point. We can talk about that, but that's getting away from my point.
Oh, okay.
My point was this: whoever he thought that he was becoming a champion for, that small group will lose in the end, because
Amen.
the messaging
Amen.
that they tried to eliminate is now entrenched in millions of Americans, millions of conservatives, and it's going to get stronger.
Yeah, I agree.
And
in fact, his wife Erica has said she's going to pick up the mantle, and I did not know her. I wasn't a big Charlie Kirk supporter, just for the record, so I was not aware of the wife. She is amazing, and I think she's going to be a powerhouse. Alex, do you agree?
Well, hold on a second. Go ahead.
Because
Because about the wife, I don't think she's going to do such a good job, because she's been around for a long time. She has a connection to Trump. Before Charlie Kirk, she was in Miss America, and she was doing work in Romania. She has a very murky past that will emerge depending on how big she actually gets. But what I think we're going to see is a lot of young men and women who were inspired by what Charlie did. Those will be the ones who come in and take his place and make that movement stronger. I don't think she's going to really be the one who carries it, because she's riding on the wave of the assassination right now. But if she had the gift, it wouldn't have taken this to make her a star. So I think she's going to.
Maybe she was deferring to her husband. You know what I mean?
No, she was a Miss America. She was a Miss America contestant, so she wasn't deferring anything. She just didn't have the talent.
Oh, Gabby, any thoughts about Charlie and his wife Erica?
I don't believe that's necessarily true when it comes to Charlie Kirk's widow. I believe that she could do
an amazing job,
really good job. Exactly. Yeah. We just, have to take it day by day and see how it goes. But I saw part of the statement that she made on live television, the broadcasting, shortly after the assassination, and I thought she did well.
Yeah, I thought she was powerful, too. Alex, any thoughts before we go to the next point?
Well, yeah, I have a lot on this, but Erica Kirk herself has been so strong through this. To do a social media post 2 days after the assassination, some looked at it as weird and whatnot. I looked at it as courageous. She got up there and stood her ground for Charlie, and I thought that was very moving,
It was
and very
I
important.
thought so too. I think I'm going to disagree with Mert on this. I think she can carry the mantle, and I agree with Mert. Others will also carry the mantle. This will multiply, Mert. You watch and you see, and this has impacted people around the world. Now, the suspected shooter was reportedly in a romantic relationship with a roommate who has been identified as transgender. This information comes from the killer's mother, who told investigators that her son had become supportive of trans rights and was dating, and I quote, a biological male who was transitioning genders. Now, according to public sources, the roommate was in the process of transitioning and was reportedly kicked out of their parents' home due to the issue. Listen to this, Mert. The transgender lover was reportedly kicked out of the home because of substance abuse, video game addiction, and because of his gender identity. Video games, Mert, the root of all evil, if you ask me.
I'm offended by that.
That's why I brought it up. So see, your addiction to video games is a bad thing, Mert. You gotta watch it. Now, that's a joke, of course. The killer's roommate has cooperated with authorities, and he's provided text messages in which the killer confessed to the shooting and referred to the roommate affectionately. I don't know if charges are going to be brought against this individual, but if he knew or had any inkling that Charlie was going to be killed, he should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mert? This has got to stop. If you know that someone is about to commit a significant crime like this, there was a mass shooting just today. Okay, Mert, this has got to stop, and we have to stop promoting the names of the individuals. We have to stop showing their faces, because I think many of these creeps are doing it for the publicity. What do you think, Mert?
Well, it takes a very patient individual to deal with you, not in a bad way, but because you throw out a lot of information. Yeah, no. I said not in a bad way, because you throw out a lot of information. Because you began this bringing up the transgender and all that type of stuff. Well, let me address that before I get to your other point.
All right,
when it comes to that, people need to understand it doesn't make it any better if you get killed by somebody who shares your similar beliefs or is a regular person. It doesn't make it any better. So bringing up a transgender person killing Charlie Kirk, it does nothing but cause chaos and combustion for transgender people.
No, I know where you're coming from, Merton. That's a valid point. But the reason I brought it up, again, I normally wouldn't, because, look, we've been doing, 66 shows. Charlie was not supportive of transgender rights. Okay? So he was very vocal against that movement, that ideology, whatever you want to call it. So there was a nexus, you see. It was not just a simple characterization, my friend. This was in retaliation for his, for want of a better expression, anti-trans views. Okay? That's where I'm coming from.
Well,
he got killed because of it.
That sounds like a good narrative to run with, but the individual was crazy. He's insane.
No question.
So I don't. If they would have been somebody into horses, or somebody into video games, or somebody who was trying to ban video games, they would have done the same thing. Not because of what they support, because they're an insane person. So when you try to attach it to their lifestyle.
I got you, buddy. But listen, it's a little more complicated than that. Just moments before he was killed, okay? Let's give it a little context, because I get where you're coming from. Kirk was answering a question about transgender mass shooters. This is how scary this is, Mert. And when asked how many trans people had committed mass shootings in the past decade, Kirk replied, too many. All right? So you see, he was killed. Now, that, by the way, just between us, that is not factually accurate. Too many. I think the data shows that less than 1% of the mass shooters are trans, like not a significant number. So Charlie, I think, may have taken some liberties with the facts, but he shouldn't have been killed. by someone who didn't agree with his politics on trans rights? That's the
And
point.
this
Mark.
is,
This is
and
the
I've
point.
been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of reading up on this, not factual reading, but opinions of people, and they feel
Right.
like this is why this is bigger than what it seems to be, because that lined up a little bit too perfectly, you know.
Yeah, it did.
Right
It
after,
did.
right
It
after,
did.
right after the key line is when the transgender person, like, they were waiting on the perfect opportunity, like they had the script. You know how you have a script on the show,
Yeah,
like
a
they
little
were
weird.
reading along with the script, and they said right when he delivers this line, that's when we're going to take the shot. So it
And you're
makes
not wrong.
me.
There was a guy making weird signals behind Charlie Kirk. It was very odd how that all happened.
Oh,
See-
come
see
on!
that?
We're not gonna.
See,
so we're
Alex,
not gonna
that-
do a whole
look,
conspiracy thing.
That's
now, are
you
we?
see what Alex just said.
Oh,
Alex is
no.
on to something right there.
No, I know.
What
I
else did you
saw
hear,
that.
Alex?
No,
I
I'm
saw
disagreeing
that
with what you're saying, Mert. I don't know. And also, I want to believe law enforcement caught the right person. I hate the idea that they didn't. Like that, I just don't like that narrative either. So
But
there's
you
too
see
many
now,
things
Alex
going
is.
on
look,
about all
You
this.
see,
I
now
think-
Alex is in it.
I think Elvis is dead. He died a long time ago. You know, all these conspiracy aliens.
old
I'm not
age,
so
right?
What?
Of
No.
old age, right? That's what you're talking about, Elvis.
No, he died in his bathroom of a drug overdose, Elvis. But people refuse to accept the truth, and they think that he's still alive or was alive for a long time. Mert, there are people who think Michael Jackson is still alive and that the whole death thing was manufactured. They're saying the same about Prince, and about, people won't accept the truth. They come up with the whole fantasy. Yeah, is it a little too coincidental? Yes, but look, you should not be killed for your beliefs, whether it's factually right or wrong, whether it's hate or not. You shouldn't be killed for your beliefs. And this is the problem with the shooting and the divisiveness that followed. I wish we had more time, but we only have a few minutes left. But the divisiveness that followed, my friend, really very sad, where people were celebrating the death. And I'm glad that employers fired them left and right, because that was the least they could do, is to get rid of the losers who glorified the death of a human being. Politics notwithstanding, come on, shame on them all. You know, the trivialization of violence, the assassination of a healthcare CEO, all this stuff has got to stop. And I don't know what's going to make a difference, what's going to get people to stop. But Charlie Kirk's death was not just a personal tragedy. It was a moment that exposed the fault lines in our society. To some, Mert, as you said, he was a hero. To others, he was a symbol of everything wrong with modern conservatism. But the real story may be what his death revealed. A country so fractured that even mourning a human being's death has become political. Now, whether this moment leads to reflection or further division, I don't know. But one thing is clear. The status quo is cracking. The silence is breaking. And the reckoning, if it hasn't arrived, the reckoning awaits in the wings.
Well, wait a minute now. You need to go back into the courtroom, because that was an amazing closing argument right there. It seemed like you missed that. I don't think you do trials anymore, but that was very well said. Seems
Well,
like
I meant
you're.
it. I meant it.
That was very well.
And
That
I
was
ain't
very
going to be
convincing.
silent about this either. Welcome, my friends, to episode 66 of Shake It Off with Merton Lucas Live. We're now in our second year of broadcasting. 66, Mert, would you believe it? Let's hear an amen. This is Lucas Ferrara. We're ever mindful that without you, we're nothing. So we're truly grateful for your support. We've got some great guests in store for you. Oh, my goodness. We're going to start with the Honorable Betsy McCaughey, a constitutional scholar and health expert. She's going to talk about a Mamdani win. And then hour two, we've got some Hollywood people going to give us some scoops about a new movie that's coming out. Oh, wait till you hear about that. Time for our commercial. Don't go away. Shake It Off with me, Mert, Alex, Gabby, Dr. McCaughey, everyone here at AM 970. When we return, it would really kill us if you didn't come back.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
For 81 years, Columbus Citizens Foundation has promoted Italian-American culture and heritage and has provided thousands of scholarships to talented Italian-American students who need support to achieve their academic dreams. These scholarships enrich the lives of those who are destined to be future leaders in our community. Be a champion and support the next generation. To find out how you can help Columbus Citizens Foundation, visit www.columbuscitizens.org. These extraordinary students inspire us every day. Their creativity, passion, and pride in their heritage are a winning combination. These scholarships ensure promising students will achieve their goals and be engaged members of their communities. Columbus Citizens Foundation proudly brings the Columbus Day Parade to New York City every year, and you can help them bring a quality education to Italian-American students in need by donating today. Visit their website at www.columbuscitizens.org.
You know, I love when we chat with Alex Kinsella from Route 22 Toyota, the general manager over there. Well, they tell us that they're offering some wicked good deals this Halloween season. He said they have a ton of new Toyota vehicles in stock and have sweet offerings on some of your favorite Toyota models, like the dynamic 2025 Toyota RAV4. Alex said the team over at Route 22 Toyota is making it easier than ever to treat yourself, as qualified buyers can drive home in a stylish RAV4 with available zero-down leases and low financing up to 60 months. If you're looking for a used car, Alex said there's no tricks and all treats over at Route 22 Toyota, as they got a huge selection of used vehicles, all makes and models, starting at $11,000. But hurry, these wicked good deals disappear soon. So call 973-705-8905, 973-705-8905 to treat yourself to a new or used Toyota. Visit Route22Toyota.com for details. And remember to tell them Joe Piscopo sent me. MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and an overstock deal you won't find anywhere else. My Slipper's only $39.98. Any color, any style. Regular $149.98. Now only $39.98. That's $110 savings. Once they're gone for good. My Towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first time and only time ever, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you will receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-651-0798 and use the promo code JOEP. Use your promo code for the best offers ever. Quantities are extremely limited, so order now.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Go vote. Go vote. I love that song, Alex. 3 guesses. What's its name?
All right, it's called Go Vote by Chris Pixar, and I know this is a favorite of ours, right?
Yeah, it's a Shake It Off favorite. Dr. Betsy McCaughey is a patient advocate, constitutional scholar, and a health policy expert who served as Lieutenant Governor of New York from 1995 to 1998. She holds a Ph.D. in constitutional history from Columbia. She's taught at Columbia and Vassar. Her early academic work earned national recognition, but it was her pivot to health policy that made her a household name. In 2005, she founded the Committee to Reduce Infection Deaths, or RID, a nationwide campaign to combat hospital-acquired infections. Under her leadership, RID has helped pass legislation in 37 states and Washington, D.C., requiring public reporting of infection rates. Her work has made hospital safety a national priority, showing that saving lives and improving profitability can go hand in hand. She's also the founder of Save NYC Committee, a civic initiative focused on restoring safety, livability, and economic vitality to our great city. And through that platform, she's become a vocal advocate for smart urban policy and public accountability. I contributed to Save NYC, and I encourage you to do the same. Dr. McCaughey is also a syndicated columnist for the New York Post, where she continues to shape public debate on healthcare and governance. Welcome to the program, Dr. McCaughey.
Call me Betsy, and I am so delighted to be on with you. You know, Ray Kelly and I have launched Save NYC with a very specific purpose, to defeat Zohran Mamdani. That's what we're doing, and I'm glad that our listeners can join us tonight in discussing that.
Amen. And as I said, Doc, I contributed to the organization because I believe
Thank you so much.
What you and Ray are doing. Now, you've been sounding the alarm about the man who's likely going to be the next mayor of New York City. I mean, if
Don't say likely, because I think we still have a shot at defeating him. We don't want to suffer from defeatism, right? And the fact is that this election is about turnout. It's about turnout. And if we get turnout up to 45%, Zohran Mamdani is defeated. He cannot win. The arithmetic will be against him. And 45% turnout is not an unreasonable goal. After all, in the years when we elect a president, New Yorkers come out in over 60% turnout, right? So 45% is reasonable. We're getting presidential-level media attention on this race.
Yep, worldwide, and for all the wrong reasons. But, Doc, I mean, respectfully, okay, Cuomo, he was not the best candidate. And that's, I think, part of the problem. He's not really resonating with a lot of people. So is that part of the problem, that the Democratic Party just picked a guy? I don't know why they picked him, given the scandal, not just COVID-related scandal with the nursing homes, but also the sex stuff. He just was a bad choice.
I think the biggest scandal with Cuomo was his support for the laws that removed cash bail and put so many criminals on our streets. But nevertheless, he is the candidate of the Democratic Party. I wanted to explore these numbers with you a little more. You have a very important audience, an intelligent audience, and I want them to know that Mamdani is not a shoo-in. Mamdani's election is not inevitable. Let me just explain it.
Please.
If we have 45% turnout, which I said is very reasonable. You know, when Giuliani got elected, it was 57%. When Dinkey's got elected, it was 60%. So I'm saying let's aim for a much more modest goal, 45% turnout, right? And if we do, we have 4.7 million voters in New York. If we get 45% turnout, that will mean 1.633462, almost 1.7 million voters vote for somebody other than Mamdani. We still have two other people in the race, you know, Curtis Lewa and Andrew Cuomo. But if we have 45% turnout, those two candidates together will get almost 1.7 million votes. Divided in two, it's over 800,000. Mamdani only has between 500 and 600,000. So if we get the turnout up, he put a fork in him. He's done. He cannot survive a moderate turnout election, and that's why I'm asking everybody to turn out and vote. That's all you have to do. Turn out and vote, and Mamdani will be defeated.
Well, let me ask
you a question.
Yeah,
well,
this is Mert, my co-host, Doc.
Before we move on to other points, let me ask you a question. As a lobbyist, how are you guys spending your money?
I'm not a lobbyist.
You're not a lobbyist?
I'm not a lobbyist. Not at all. I've never been a lobbyist. No, I do not lobby for anybody. No. State NYC, we have collected money from generous donors. And what are we doing with our money? We have people out on the ground canvassing door to door.
Amen.
Asking people to come out and vote. That is not lobbying. We are not asking for any favors from the government. We are just asking ordinary Americans to come out and vote. We're going door to door. And we have a very specific angle because, let me just explain, we could go to every door in New York. That's almost an impossible feat. So we've identified one group of New Yorkers who have the most to lose in this election, the most to lose. And that is condo and co-op owners in the 5 boroughs. If you own your home, or your co-op, or your condo, you have the most to lose from Zohran Mamdani. And you may not have heard why yet, but I'm going to tell you. Because in 2019, the City Council passed a law called Local Law 97 that's just going into effect next year. This law will require that the owners of the individual co-ops and condos, the big buildings you see in Queens and Bronx and Brooklyn, big buildings, that they convert those buildings from oil heat or natural gas heat to electric heat at the sole expense of the individual occupants of those apartments. It means that the building will have to spend $20, $30, sometimes $60 million, and it will end up adding $1,000 or more to the maintenance of each one of those condo owners.
Wait a minute.
They're not going to be able to afford it. Many of them are retirees or civil servants, and they're going to have to sell at fire sale prices because their neighbor is selling at the same time. So goodbye to your life savings. So that's the group we're focusing on. 832,000 apartments.
Betsy, who are you? Do you own any real estate like that, or because you sound like a lobbyist? You're saying
no. I am not a lobbyist. Not at all. I'll tell you how I discovered this. I was writing a piece for the New York Post on Local Law 97. And halfway through, I thought to myself, this isn't a column. This is a battle plan. I've got to tell everybody about this. I've got to tell them what's coming up. They're going to be hit over the head by this law next year. And of all the mayoral candidates, only one vows to vigorously enforce this law, Zohran Mamdani. He is against owners. He's really against private property. So I don't own any big co-op buildings. I'm not a real estate professional. I'm a former college professor, and now I'm a columnist. I'm not in the real estate business. I'm doing this to alert everyone that they're going to get clobbered by this.
Is Save New York that organization you're affiliate with? Are they attached to any corporations? They're not attached to anybody? Okay, I'm just asking for the people. I'm not attacking you. I just want to get everything clear so we can make sure.
Ray Kelly and I, the former police commissioner, and I founded this ourselves. We've raised the money ourselves, and the money is only going to one thing. It's paying these people to go door to door with our flyer. It says, protect your home. If Zohran Mamdani wins the mayor's race, condo and co-op owners risk losing their homes. And I explain what Local Law 97 does.
Doc, we need to talk more about this because this is very serious stuff, but unfortunately we have to go to a commercial break. Have no fear. Dr. McCaughey will be rejoining us after these quick commercial messages. For more about Dr. McCaughey, check out our website, hospitalinfection.org and www.saveourcityny.org. We'll have links on our website. Okay, don't go away. Mert, Alex, Gabby, and Dr. McCaughey will be back. In fact, we'll be back faster than you could say limited time offer. So stay tuned and remember, democracy dies in silence. But our show dies if you don't come back. See you on the other side, I hope.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Eye on Real Estate, New York's longest-running show on real estate, answers everyone's questions from California to across the Atlantic in London.
It's actually Gateshead, a little bit away from London. I've been a huge fan of yours for many a year.
Dottie Herman and her expert team will help you through the ins and outs of property ownership.
We have great listeners, a great audience, and a great team of professionals.
Call 866-970-9622 with your question Saturday morning at 10 on AM 970, The Answer.
I love bringing you products that improve your life. Well, this product can save a life. There are 5,000 choking deaths in the U.S. annually. One child dies every 5 days from choking. Older adults are also at increased risk of choking. Foods eaten by the handful like popcorn, grapes, peanuts, they get overloaded in the mouth, cause a choking episode. LifeVac is a simple rescue device that can change a life in a choking emergency. It's non-invasive and easy to use. If you have a young child or a senior relative, I strongly recommend you visit the LifeVac website today at lifevac.net. View the videos demonstrating its ease of use. LifeVac works in 3 simple steps. Place, push, pull. The LifeVac device dislodges the obstruction and suctions out the food or object. It's that simple, and it can be self-administered. Lifevac.net.
Nowadays, when a lot of food is good and expensive, Michael's of Brooklyn is something that's just plain good. And if you want the best homemade Italian food, then you must get to Michael's of Brooklyn, Avenue R off Nostrand Avenue. Say hello to Fred and tell him Kevin McCullough sent you here to eat fantastic fresh pasta. And if you can't get to Michael's of Brooklyn, then how about joining the Sauce of the Month Club? You get a different jar of Michael's of Brooklyn pasta sauce and homemade pasta and biscotti each month for 6 months. Each month receive exquisite sauces ranging from arrabbiata to puttanesca and, of course, the fresh marinara. They're family-owned and operated, and I can attest to the authenticity of every one of their recipes. That's why it's stacked in my pantry. Everything is made completely from scratch. Even the sauce they sell in the grocery stores nationwide. They make it right there at Michael's of Brooklyn. So visit michaelsofbrooklyn.com and join the Sauce of the Month Club. That's michaelsofbrooklyn.com or call 718-998-7851. Michael's of Brooklyn, serving the community since 1964.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
Go vote. Go vote. We've been speaking with the Honorable Dr. Betsy McCaughey. She's a patient advocate, health policy expert, and former Lieutenant Governor of New York. She's the founder and chairman of 2 influential organizations, the Committee to Reduce Infection Deaths, which has transformed hospital safety, and the Save New York City Committee, a civic initiative which I've contributed to, which is focused on restoring safety and livability to New York. For more about Dr. McCaughey and her organizations, please visit hospitalinfection.org or saveourcityny.org. Now, you'll also find links on our website, shakeitofflive.com, and in the interest of full disclosure, I've contributed to Save NYC Committee because I believe in Betsy's work, and And all power to you, Betsy. And you know what it is? The media is not reporting about the seriousness of this transformation, whatever you want to call it. It's going to hit little people, as you said, senior citizens, hard. But we don't see this discussed. We don't see this front and center.
Lucas,
I'm so glad you're saying that. We don't.
Hold on. Let me ask you something, Betsy, real quick before you go into that, because your organization, you say they send people out and they, go door to door and they try to convince people that Mamdani is a bad guy for this.
That's not what she said. Just a moment. I don't mean to correct you, but I would like you to describe what we're doing in a much more accurate way. We have a flyer that we hand to people when they open the door. It says, protect your home. We are talking about Local Law 97 and Mamdani's view on that law, his intention to rigorously enforce that law rather than showing the kind of flexibility and willingness to change the law that the other mayoral candidates have expressed. Everybody wants to protect.
I want to be very clear, because that's a very important distinction you just made right there. So you're only focused on this one law here that we're discussing.
Because we're going to the doors of the 1.4 million people who live in the 832,000 units affected by this law. And of course, if they want to chat about something else, that's fine. But that's not what our people are trained to do. Our people have been rigorously informed about Local Law 97 so they can answer questions about Local Law 97. And our feeling is that if everyone works together, we can ensure that this law is changed. And so the individual homeowners, there's so many of them, 1.4 million, will not be forced to abandon their homes.
I agree. And they can make an informed decision when they go to the voting box.
That's
God bless
right.
you. God bless you, Betsy.
That was very insightful, because at first I was confused because, I was thinking that maybe you were trying to tear down the whole Mamdani candidate as a whole, but you're really focused on this one issue. So that just clears things up. That just clears things up for me, because I wasn't clear about that.
I do not support Mamdani. I disagree with them on many issues. But this campaign, Save NYC, is focused on protect your home. That's what it says.
Well, you know what, Doc? In interest of full disclosure, I own a co-op in the city. I don't want to be hit with a special assessment in the thousands of dollars. That'll present a hardship for me.
Every month.
And I still work, but thousands of dollars more to pay a special assessment would present a hardship for me.
And Betsy, is Mamdani the only one who was supporting this? Is he the only candidate that
was? The other candidates have said that they would slow walk it, change it, delay it. What we need is some flexibility here now that everybody realizes how draconian the requirements are and how costly they are. Most of these buildings have had consultants come in over the last year, and they are shell-shocked at what this is going to cost. And when the law was passed, nobody realized that. The fact is, almost everybody wants to improve the climate, protect the earth. But the way this is done...
At what cost? Making people homeless?
That's right. At what cost? And also, it's very short-sighted, because once these buildings are all electrified, they'll have to purchase their electricity, and we don't have the grid in New York to supply that electricity. So amazingly, they'll have to buy a lot of that electricity from Pennsylvania, where it is still produced with fossil fuels. So you're not really reducing the carbon footprint; you're moving it down the map a bit.
What a fallacy. Doc, look, isn't the problem that Mamdani doesn't believe in property ownership? He doesn't believe that people should have property, own property.
That is true. He has said that he wants to, and this is his word, decommodify homes.
Yeah, decommoditize.
In other words,
right.
He doesn't think shelter is something that should be bought and sold. Well, that's a way out there philosophy. But most of the people in New York who have saved for years to buy a co-op or condo, whether it's in the Bronx or Brooklyn or Queens, they don't want to hear about that. They just want to know
Betsy,
that they're not going to lose their home.
No, Betsy, let me ask you this, though. So are we separating people who feel like, because the messaging can get confusing with this, because if I'm a renter and I'm saying the rent is way too expensive, is that the same as you saying I own a co-op and it's too expensive? Are these the same issues? Should both people, renters and co-op owners, feel the same way? Can you explain that and clear that up for me as well?
Affordability is a big problem in New York. I think that the freeze the rent movement is very short-sighted, because I understand that people don't want the rent to go up any more than they want the price of food to go up. But if they just freeze the rent and they don't freeze the cost of electricity, the cost of water, the cost of repairs, the property taxes, then what happens? The landlord is going to stop taking care of that building. And what I've read is that these buildings will quickly become very dilapidated. And who wants to live in a building that's turned into a slum? So it's probably better to work with the people on both sides of this, the tenants and the landlords, recognize the costs are going up, but make sure that the landlords aren't scalping anybody.
Yeah, but Doc, the rent freeze is only part of the problem. I think the proposal, and correct me if I'm wrong, Doc, for the million or so units, rent-stabilized units that are in the city, he wants to freeze the rent, so no increases, and you've already addressed that. He's also proposing that there be no evictions for non-payment of rent.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You know, if you go into a store and you don't pay, you shouldn't be able to walk out with the goods. It's the same if you were a tenant. What about the mom and pop who own that building?
Exactly.
They're trying to make ends meet. How can they provide rent for free?
It's going to impact Mert, but in a different way, because what the doctor's talking about, this local law and the costs of transforming it, that's one issue. But then mom and pop owners are going to be killed. See, but Doc, I think this all goes back to the point I made just a few minutes ago. He wants to destroy private property ownership, and this is an ingenious way of accomplishing it. Because that mom and pop, Doc, they're going to file bankruptcy or they're going to abandon the property. And I see mass foreclosures and I see mass bankruptcies in our future if Mom Dami is elected mayor. Any thoughts on that, Doc? Doc?
Well, I kind of lost you halfway through. But I think that it is true that Mom Dani has expressed several times that he does not support private property, especially for home ownership. And that's not really the American way. Most Americans aspire to own homes. You know, I'm hoping that at some time every one of my children will own a home. 2 out of 3 already do. And, you know, I want to help them if I can along the way. It's a good feeling to know you can put a roof over your family's head. And I don't think that Mom Dani should attack that.
Well, he's trying to shift the American dream, that's for sure. And he's trying to deny it in some respects, if you think about it. But my point is, he doesn't care about the mom and pops, Doc. He wants to see them lose property, because then the tenants can take over buildings. Now, you may be too young to remember this, Dr. McCaughey, but the Bronx was burning in the 70s. People were abandoning buildings because of taxes and the whole bit. We may see that again. We may see that again. If he becomes mayor, I'm concerned. We only have a few minutes left, Doc. Any final words or messages? I'd like to give
Well, hold on a second. Let me ask the doc this question, because she can help educate me a little bit about this. Who originated this law? Where is this coming from? Because listening to you guys speak, it was... Go ahead.
The law was passed by the City Council in 2019 and signed by Mayor Bill de Blasio. So, you know, that was back then. And frankly, I'm not pointing any fingers. I think most people passed this law thinking it was a good thing to protect the climate, protect the earth, and they didn't really get the numbers. They didn't get the facts on what this was going to do to the individual homeowners. But now that we have those facts, it's time to respond to them. And one way is not to elect Mondani mayor. And then when you elect somebody else, go in and work with that person to change this law, and so that we can protect the climate in a more responsible way that recognizes the needs of homeowners.
So
without
Betsy,
causing hardship
I think
to,
I finally
to thousands of people. Go ahead, Mert. Go ahead.
I finally think I figured out what the whole deal with this. So this is all about improving these properties to make them more efficient and green and all this stuff, up to code, all this other stuff. And what has happened is you're basically pricing people out, because in New York City, all this new stuff is very, very expensive. A lot of people are going to get rich off this, not the property owners, but a lot of other people, the people
contractors. It's a boondoggle for contractors.
Yep.
So that's who was. So that might have been who was pushing for all this stuff. Everybody.
I don't know.
Yeah,
right. You don't want to.
Yeah, she just want to speak out of turn. But go ahead, finish your point, Bert, because I'd like the doc to then make her final pitch.
No, that was basically the conclusion. So it sounds like outside interests have tried to take over a very necessary industry and home ownership and putting people in places where they can live and have shelter, and they're trying to enforce their codes and their green and all this stuff, and it's just having negative consequences. And Save New York City is trying to stop that from its unintended consequences.
Amen. And I think more people should support. We have a minute left. Doc, any final words to our audience? You got a minute to do it.
I would just say it's extremely important to turn out and vote in this election. If you turn out and vote, the election will serve you well, and you'll be doing your patriotic duty, but more importantly, you'll be protecting your home. If you stay home instead of voting, there's nothing to complain about. Please come out and vote. In this election, we need all New Yorkers to come out and vote.
Amen. And please, Doctor, we've run out of time, but I encourage our listeners to check out your websites, particularly SaveOurCityNY.org. Did I get it right, Doc? SaveOurCityNY.org.
And we also have one, SaveNYC.org, both of them. And please, if you're going into the hospital, come to hospitalinfection.org. I can really help you protect yourself.
Amen to that, too. We'll have links on our website, Doc. Shake It Off Live. Dr. McCaughey, we are honored that you joined us this evening. And you know what? Mert loves you. And I think this was a teachable moment. We've all learned that there are problems ahead if Mamdani gets elected. Thank you, Doc.
I really enjoyed talking with you. Congratulations on your very fine show. It's a public service.
Oh, come back again. We must have you back again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doc. We'll be joined by Robert Boris, an award-winning screenwriter and director who's known for iconic films like Electra Glide in Blue, Oxford Blues, and Blood Feud. With decades of storytelling experience, Boris blends sharp dialogue with emotional depth, returning to fiction with his novel Black Sun. That's his new novel that just came out. And he's going to be joined by Brad Wyman, a prolific producer behind the Oscar-winning movie Monster. Mert, we've got an Oscar award winner coming on the show. Together, Boris and Wyman represent a powerhouse of cinematic experience. Can't wait to speak to them. It's imperative you come back after the news. At the top of the hour, you're going to have to suffer through a few commercial messages. But once it's all done, Mert, Alex, Gabby, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I love you. Are you having fun?
Segment. I love it.
Are you having fun? It's great.
Right.
Dr. McCaughey was amazing. Robert Boris, Brad Wyman, along with the rest of the AM 970 team, will be waiting right here for you. We know you want it. We know you want to shake it off with us. We know you do. So please come back for hour 2. Lots more controversy awaits. Cast your vote in favor of this broadcast by doing the most patriotic thing you can. Coming back after the break. No ballots, no hanging chads, just your glorious presence. And maybe please bring a snack, because Alex and Gabby are hungry. You hungry, Gabby?
I'm a bit hungry.
Mert too. Join us after these messages.
The preceding hour of programming sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.